This question revolves around physics, as it elucidates the increase of temperature of the oil in Celsius over time. To associate it with a real-life situation, we must explore the aspects of this graph and its relation to a genuine situation of a person who was cooking in their kitchen. Quite simply, this graph permits me to comprehend or to be informed of a temperature of the oil that is to be reached at a certain time, when the oil is exposed to heat. A function and its reciprocal always equal to 1. For example, a half and 2 over 1 equal to 1. Reciprocal relationships are utilized when it comes to currency exchange, which are the rates at which people trade money back and forth from different currencies. Another example would include cables on a bridge. They are shaped like a hyperbola because of how they are constructed. Engineers and any other person involved with the construction of a bridge would need to know this in order to properly build the bridge. The cables help keep the bridge stable. Without them, it would be very prone to breakage. In terms of physics, a more realistic graph would have the y-axis start from 21 degrees Celsius, as that is average room temperature. When you're dealing with something hot and something cold, the heat would balance out. The substance that contains more heat would transfer an amount of its heat to the colder substance. In this case, both substances are hot, however one contains more heat than the other, which is the stove. In other words, the stove is being fueled with heat and is transferring the heat to the oil through the processes of convection and conduction. The oil's temperature increases rapidly at around point 1.11, 10 when it is initially exposed to heat, and when it reaches a higher temperature, specifically starting from point 16.7, 94, or 16.7 minutes when the temperature has reached 94 degrees Celsius. The increase of temperature slows down after reaching that point because it's already extremely hot and it's trying to reach the temperature of the stove, but it can't, because the oil is not receiving the same amount of heat the stove is from the fire. The balance of temperature is not possible, as the income of heat for the stove will always be greater than the income of heat to the oil. Heat cannot be possibly transferred completely, and for that reason, 100 on the y-axis is the horizontal asymptote. The window settings were changed because it's impossible to have negative time. Complications I, or any of my fellow classmates, may have encountered would not be knowing how to thoroughly operate the GDC and not being able to take advantage of its characteristics. Another limitation may be that this is not a simple reciprocal function that would be in the form of 1 over x. However, we would be able to overcome these problems by exploring the calculator and making use of the internet for additional research. I have been able to obtain the majority of my answers through algebra, as the questions have asked me for x and y values. I would be able to simply apply and recall my previous knowledge and substitute for x or y. My findings have been accurate, as I have used more than one source to justify the way in which I have reached my solution. I have been granted enough time to think about each question, interpret the information, and reflect on each step I am performing. I have used the functions on the GDC, such as analyze graph and split screen table, to obtain my answers straight away, and then have them backed up using algebra. The questions have been fairly straightforward, as I was supposed to use my common sense, and also just recall my basic mathematical skills on functions. During this investigation, I have been able to expand my knowledge on reciprocal functions, use numerous strategies to communicate throughout the video, and address the audience in a comprehensible manner. This investigation is contrasting to the prior investigation, as we have been assigned to produce a video. It has enabled us to be creative and use our video editing skills, which has been an amusing experience, but demanding as well. Obtain the equation of the reciprocal function from the provided graph, in the form of f of x equals to a over x minus h plus k.